speaker who holds an honorary doctorate of ministry. She's a senior founder. She's senior founder and co-pastor of All Nations Church, together with her husband, and serves on the board of directors for the Charlotte Mecklenburg Dream Center, as well as the executive board member and curriculum advisor to Shiloh University. Please give a nice round of applause for Bonnie Chavda.
Thank you, Michelle. God bless you. And God bless America. You are, look at your neighbor and tell him you are what makes America great and what will make America great again. We're looking at it right now. I am the daughter of American cowboys. My great-grandfather actually really split rails with Abraham Lincoln as an 11-year-old, and Abe was 17 at the time. He migrated west after the Civil War, as many veterans did, both black and white. As a child, I was told firsthand stories of making a go of it when all the elements are against you. I heard about the wars and America's part in standing up against evil rising in Europe and Korea. I was told what it was like in the Dust Bowl days and what it was like to have lived through the crash and the Great Depression. I learned that America is exceptional, that her national ethic, her politic, and her spirit is unique and virtuous in the world and is vital to free men everywhere. My family was land rich and cash poor, but you know what? I never knew how poor we actually really were, because we were Americans, and the American spirit infused our lives, our identity, and our aspirations. My husband of 40 years is an immigrant and naturalized American citizen. He is the orphaned son of Hindu parents brought here from Africa by American faith and generosity. He says he's both African American and American Indian. We are a biracial, cross-cultural Christian family. An American possibility, opportunity, and identity has enriched and forged our family. My sons were both born with life-threatening congenital birth defects and diseases. Through the wonders of American medicine and the sheer miracles of answered prayers, they are healthy, prosperous adults today. My father was a law enforcement officer, and he was murdered execution style a few years ago. Our story shares hopes and dreams, successes and failures, tragedies and triumphs with families like yours all across this great land. We are an American family. We are the dreamers of the American dream. Today, in Matthews, North Carolina, we stand in the crease of history, surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, a few miles in any direction. Some of the most heroic, nation-altering, culture-creating, and world-changing events have occurred. From Charleston to Camden, the Swamp Fox outmaneuvered the British and fathered modern guerrilla warfare. The Appalachian over mountain men swarmed Kings Mountain, and in under an hour, they turned the tide of the revolution. Right here in Mecklenburg County, the Hornet's Nest, a parson and 9 church elders were among the signers of the Mecklenburg Resolves in allegiance with the surge of independence that was rolling through the colonies. North in Greensboro, 4 black college students sat down at a Woolworth's lunch counter and politely asked for service, and then stood up to the thugs that tried to deny them. Recently, Charleston responded to the church massacre in the spirit of America. And Charlotte made it clear that anarchy is not the way for our city. We are Americans. Next door, South Carolina's former governor stood up to the nations of the world and rebuked them for their hypocrisy and treachery and cowardice toward Israel in the Middle East. God protect and empower you, Ambassador Haley. Emerging from the signing of our Constitution, a woman asked Benjamin Franklin, "Sir, what have you given us?" He replied, "A republic, madam, if you can keep it." Look at your neighbor and tell him, we're going to keep it. We're going to keep it. Our progenitors pledged and delivered life, fortune, and sacred honor. God forbid we should be any less forthcoming. The rising begins right here on home ground. The battle to retrieve our American dream and revive the spirit of America begins on home ground. Can you say home ground? The battle to retrieve our American dream begins right here on home ground. It has come to us to grasp the torch of generations and devote ourselves to that exceptional idea that was, that is, and that shall be America. Your place is on the city council. Your place is on the school board. Your place is as county commissioners and as mayors. Your place is beside those who commit to serve. As the president, President Trump, said, everything that is broken in our country can be fixed. Every problem can be solved. And every hurting family can find healing and hope. So why not join forces and finally get it done? Independents, libertarians, Democrats, Republicans, and contrarians all. It's time to step up. The president said it's time, the time for small thinking is over. Tell your neighbor, it's over. The time for trivial fights is behind us. Empowered, inspired, and most of all, guided. We are rising to dream big, boldly dare, and together embrace the renewal of the American spirit. The president said our children will grow up in a nation of miracles, safe communities, attendance in great schools, access to high-paying jobs. There's no challenge that cannot be overcome, no marvel unattainable. It's all achievable, but we can only get there together. And it's people like you who show the heart of America is good. It's people like you that show the spirit of America is strong. And it's people like you that show the future of America is great. You give meaning to self-reliance and personal initiative, to optimism and confidence, leading America to take its next step, freedom's next step. We believe that morality and brotherhood are the pillars of society, and we are rising to restore education that ensures a better life and a brighter future for our children. We are rising to remind Washington and the world of the unique nature of this great republic, a nation under God, unshackled from federal overreach, unburdened from suffocating regulatory regulations, and with the freedom to worship God as the foundation of a house that will not fall despite storm and wind and rain and enemy. A house united, no matter creed, color, or philosophy. A house devoted to love our neighbor as ourselves. A house of rational self-control, common sense, and kindness, where all boats rise and all nations may come to the light of our rising. A continent set apart by divine plan and placed between the oceans to be found by people from every corner of the earth who had a special love for freedom and the courage to uproot themselves and come together to create something new in all the history of mankind. It's time to face the truth. It's time to find the light in our neighbor's eyes, to inspire hope and courage, in our fellow citizens. It's time to raise that standard of grace and glory emblazoned with stripes of red and white and sprinkled with shining stars that still remind us of that from which we came and that for which we stand. A standard raised against tyranny and lawbreakers, drug peddlers, and every enemy who would prey on innocent citizens and seek to make us afraid. We are rising because the First Amendment was not written to protect the American people from religion. It was written to protect the American people from government tyranny. So inspired by past achievements and informed by temporary failings, focused and investing in our neighbors and local enterprise, on lifting the most vulnerable and disenfranchised towards a brighter future, and refusing to be manipulated, dominated, controlled, or overrun by the forces of evil, or fear, or poverty, or bigotry, or political correctness. As Dr. King said, let us answer all good-willed and sincere opponents in patient and reasonable terms, while recognizing every influence of argument from outsiders coming in. We are tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. America, we have come too far. We have struggled too hard. We've accomplished too much to turn back now. John Adams said, a free constitution is pure virtue. And if this cannot be inspired into our people in a greater measure, they may change rulers and forms of government, that they will not obtain a lasting liberty. They will only exchange tyrants and tyrannies. And you know, he wrote to Abigail, he said, I'm well aware of the toil and blood and treasure that it will cost us to maintain this declaration and to support and defend these states. Yet through all the gloom, I can see the rays of ravishing light and glory. The end is worth more than all the means. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes. Can you say joy comes? Woo! Joy comes. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And we see the first bright rays. We are rising to take our place in our national destiny. We are rising to enshrine liberty, democracy, and dignity for all who call America home sweet home. We are rising to renew the spirit of America and enter the blessing of God so long and so often invoked by so many. Friends, morning comes. Come to the light of its rising. God bless you, North Carolina, and God bless America.